acromion process, which is basically the bony bit at the front of the shoulder, or the side of the shoulder rather, and then the olecranon, or the elbow. Okay, if you want to keep it simple. Elbow and acromion process, the halfway point. So we've got find that. Okay, so we're just going to take the distance, the total, and then we're going to take the halfway point. Michelle, can you do me a favour and just put your finger where mine is? Thank you very much. Okay, you can just ask your client to do that, or if you had a little pen, as long as they don't mind you marking them, you can just do a little cross, and then that'll help. Okay, then from there I'm just going to take the. Okay, you can relax now, and you can take your hand away. You can relax your arm for me. Perfect. Okay, so when we're taking this, you take the tape measure around that was in line with where that mark was. The first thing you need to do is make sure that it's not too loose, so it's not hanging down at all, okay? And it's not super tight, it's just taut, okay? It's not pulling any skin in any direction or anything like that. You also need to just take a stand back and double check that it's parallel to the floor, okay? So what we want to avoid, just relaxing me, is anything like that, okay, where it's sort of hanging down at an angle. So parallel to the floor, in line with the original mark, okay? And nice and tall. Obviously I'm not doing it for real, so it doesn't matter, I've just lost it, okay? And then have a look and take your measurement, okay? And obviously make a note as you go, just in case you forget. Okay, just relax me. So just to recap before I move on, you would do the other side, but I'll just show you one side, okay? You find the acromion process, which is basically the boniest part. When you have a feel at the end of your shoulder, you can find a real sort of bony outcrop, okay? So this is the top of that, okay? And then the elbow joint. Find the halfway point between those 2 points with the tape measure, and either make your mark or get your client to put their finger there, okay? Then take the tape measure all the way around and make sure it's parallel and in line with that mark. Make sure it's parallel to the floor and it's tight, it's not loose, okay? Cool, and then, okay, so from here, to make it, obviously you don't really want to be putting your hands where you shouldn't, okay, especially if it's a male and a female. What we want to do to make it nice and easy, just go around their waist and ask them to lift the tape up to the widest part of their chest. So Michelle, if you could lift that up to the widest part of your chest for me, that would be great. Thank you. Okay. So before I take, I've got a measurement, before I take that, I just want to go to the side and double check again, it's parallel to the floor. Okay, oh, by the way, you can relax your arms now. You just like that. So make sure it's parallel to the floor, make sure they're relaxed. A lot of guys that think they've got quite big chests might tend to be kind of tensing a little bit. So get them to take a deep breath in, and then exhale, and relax, and then take the measurement. Cool? So just to recap on that one, make sure you take it around the belly, okay? Get them to lift it up to the widest part of the chest. Widest. Because we used to say the nipple line, in line with the nipples, but depending on where the nipples are, it might not be the widest part. So if you say the widest part, they'll probably know. Okay, but you can also come to the side and check. Okay. So you know you can use your eyes to judge that. Okay. So around the belly button. Okay, and then Michelle, can you find your belly button for me? Okay. So it's a nice, easy position to find for your client, and again, you don't have to go messing around and fumbling around in terms of, you know, trying to find the belly button for you, especially if you've got a t-shirt on or anything like that. And we'll talk about clothing in a moment. Double check that it's parallel to the floor, okay, and it's taut, it's not too tight, and then take your measurement. What you'll generally find with body fat is it's either going to be around the belly button or maybe just below. Okay, that might be a little bit wider. The issue is trying to measure points that you haven't got perfect every single time. It can fluctuate the measurement, whereas if you know where the belly button is, you're going to measure that exact same point every single time, so you're going to see the changes. So I wouldn't really worry on a client that if they maybe had more body fat just below, for instance, or wider, just focus on that same point, because that will still change. Go around the waist, and then I'm going to, you might just lift your t-shirt up at this point, is that alright? Just a little bit. Okay. I can see. Now again, what you want to do is make sure that you're not putting your hands anywhere you shouldn't. So from here, go nice and wide either side of the tape measure, take it around the hips, and then as you clasp together, you'll find now I'm on the side, so I'm on the side of the hip. So again, I can put my hands there, nothing's going to go wrong. Okay, so I wouldn't really want to be taking too much in front. So use your eyes, and you're looking for the widest part at this point. Again, not too tight, just taut. Check that it's parallel to the floor. Okay, so at the moment I'm on a slight angle, so I would need to lower it down this side slightly. And also, once you're about to take the measurement, just have a look and make sure you're happy with that being the widest part. Okay? But being down at this level on one knee means that I am in line with this measurement, because if I was trying to do it while standing up, I can't see if that's parallel. I can't see if that's the widest part. Okay, so just to recap. Don't worry about your t-shirt this time. So nice and wide here, my hands are together, and then I go wide before I take the tape measure around, so my hands don't go anywhere they shouldn't. Okay, check that it's parallel, check that it's the widest part, and then take your measurement. Okay, so you get people to lift their leg up, and usually it's right in that point, okay, where the crease is, okay, and generally it's around there. So that's a good starting point sometimes. Anyway, so we're looking at the ASIS, or the bony bit at the top of the hip. Okay, that's the easier version. And then we're looking at the knee. The knee. And usually what we do is we just measure to the top of the knee, okay, because then we know that's the same. So as soon as you feel that kneecap kick in, that's where we're going to be measuring for. Okay? So, what I want you to do, Michelle, if you can hold the top of the measurement on the main bit that we found. Yeah. Yeah? You happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Just put your finger just there for me. Thank you.
Halfway,
yeah, halfway. Sorry guys, I didn't say that. So measure the two distances, divided by 2, take the halfway point. Because your ASIS is quite high, it might actually look like it's higher than what you would think. Okay? But we still want to take the halfway point, and every time you remeasure, say every 4 weeks or however long apart you're doing it, that's where you would take it to. The result is the same, or at least the accuracy. And again, be careful with what you do with your hands. So I'm just going to go around the ankle so I don't touch anything I shouldn't, and then I'm going to lift it up into place. Thank you, Michelle. And then you're going to come around. Obviously, make sure it's taut, but again, just come around to the side or the back. Just double check that looks parallel. Okay. And then take your measurement. Okay. We've obviously got both sides, right and left. Okay. Cool. Are there any questions on that one? Calves. Okay. So calves generally, they don't really change that much, because usually you'll find that people with like a lot of body fat doesn't really tend to like hang around with the calves. It's generally a lot higher. Okay, you're looking at kind of like thighs, belly area, maybe like that sort of chest, back, that type of area where you generally store more of your body fat. So you're going to see smaller changes there, and same with muscle gain really, but you could see some depending on if it's maybe that target area. Okay, well, you're going to use your eyes, and you're looking for the widest parts. You need to get down to this level again. Okay? And you need to make sure that you pay attention to not just the outside of the calf, but the inside, because a lot of people tend to have quite a lot of muscle mass on the inside, and if you're just looking here, you're going to completely miss that, and you'll find that it's completely different. Well, it's just not the widest part if you're just looking here. So go around the ankle. Okay, come up to loosely where you feel like it's the widest part, and then have a look. Now for me, straight away, although from here it seemed like it would have been wide, if I come around here you can see it's probably a little wider, a little lower. So I'm going to come down a little bit, and it's definitely wider there. Okay, and obviously you do the right side, and then do the left, or you can do the left and the right, I don't really mind. Either or, just make sure you get them both done, because you might find in your arms and your legs that there are slight differences. Okay, that's not even a bad thing, but it could be quite useful in terms of what you're going to be doing in your training. Okay, to try and maybe level things up. Side of the body. So we always measure the right side of the body. Okay, with the Denia and Womersley test. Okay. Obviously, if they've got right arm, we'll do the left. But if we've got the right arm, so we'll do that. Okay. To get the 2 points, what we need to do is find the halfway point again to begin with. We're going to look at the biceps and the triceps. Okay. In terms of measuring the sites on the arm, so biceps and triceps. But to get the accurate position, we need to measure the halfway point. So, exactly like you did in your girth measurements, you're going to find the acromion process, or the bony bit, on the side of the shoulder at the top, okay? And you're going to find the top of the elbow. Okay, you're going to find the halfway point, and you're just going to make a little mark. I'm not going to make a mark, otherwise whoever does it on you will know where it is. Okay? So, get the halfway mark. Okay? Just put your finger where my finger is. At this point now, you're going to do exactly what you did to take the girth measurement earlier on. So you're going to, okay, you can move it, thank you. Double check that it's parallel to the floor, okay? And once you've got that, and you're happy with it's parallel, use your eyes, and you're going to find the most anterior point on the bicep. So basically the point that is in front the most. Okay? Okay, so you mark that at the front, okay? And then do the same on the tricep. Okay? One thing I will say, guys, is make sure that when you take the mark that it is in line, which is wherever the mark is. Okay? Okay. So the most anterior and the most posterior point. Okay, and remember this is halfway between the acromion and the top of the elbow. Okay, and those 2 points, you've made those marks, you don't need the tape measure. Alright, so we're going to look at tricep first. So we'll imagine that there's a mark there, just relax. Okay, so we need to make sure that it's parallel to the floor. Okay, it's tall. You've obviously got the trigger here. When you go to take the measurement, obviously slowly release, but don't just let it close, because that'll hurt. Okay? So make sure that you've got at least a light hold of this, so it's not going to suddenly shut on them. And when you've taken the pinch and you're in there, again, don't just pull it out. Okay? Make sure you lift and release. Okay? So it is spring loaded, so remember that. Don't worry about it. So we're going to go parallel. You need to make sure that wherever the pinch is, that your mark is in the middle. Okay? So to actually get a pinch now, if I'm aiming for that mark, I need to pinch just above the mark I made. Otherwise, I'm not going to get this where I need it. Okay? So I'm going to go slightly above, and I'm going wide, making an L shape with my thumb and finger. I'm going upside down. Okay? So I'm here and here, I'm going really wide, and then I'm going to start to pull the skin and the body fat back until what I think I've got is a pinch. Okay? Now, to double check that I haven't got tricep or muscle, I'm going to ask Michelle to slowly tense your arm, or tense your tricep. So straighten out. Good. And relax. Cool. So relax again. Yeah. So what happens when you tense your tricep like that, if you've got some muscle, your thumb and finger will slowly pull back a little bit and pull out. Okay? I had a little bit too much there, so I had a little bit of muscle. Okay? But now, I give it a little bit of a wiggle. Sorry, Michelle. And I definitely know that it's body fat. Okay? So, from there, I've got my pinch. I'm not pinching too hard, it's just enough to keep the skin where it needs to be. I'm going to go nice and wide with the calipers. Okay? And I'm going to go as deep as my thumb and finger. Okay? As deep as my thumb and finger. I'm going to slowly release so I don't cause too much discomfort. Okay? And I'm going to have a look at the reading. Then once I'm happy that I've got the reading, I'm going to lift the handle and then release and relax the pinch. Okay? What I then do is maybe give them about 20 or 30 seconds just to let the area relax, especially if it's a bit sore. Okay, that was okay with it, Michelle? Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just do it a second time to double check that I'm 100% correct. Okay, so I'm going to do it once more. Upside down with the hand, wide grip, slowly pull the skin away, and then ask the client to tense. Okay, move back a little bit and relax. Good. And then slowly come in. Deep as thumb and finger. Okay, perfect. And then relax and release it, and then pull back. Okay, and record what you got. Okay. If they weren't the same, then you could probably take it a third time. Okay, and you'll hopefully find that at least one would be the same. If not, you could just take the average. Okay, otherwise you're going to be there 20 times trying to get the same one. Okay. Okay. You're going to come in nice and wide. You will find that there is less body fat usually in this one compared to the tricep. Okay, especially in females. Okay, females tend to carry a lot more body fat on their tricep compared to males. So don't panic if you get a female. You think, oh my god, it's natural. They will have quite a bit of body fat there. Okay, even lean females. Sorry, I've got it. Sorry. Okay, and with this one, just relax your arm for me. I'm going to go as wide as I can. I'm going to pull the skin together in the body fat. Now you can't tense your bicep with this one, okay? But it's much easier to find or know whether or not you've got muscle versus fat. So you don't need to ask them to tense their arm. Okay, so I'm going to go in as deep as my thumb and finger. I'm going to slowly release it. Okay. And then I'm going to come back, release. With this position here, it can be a bit more challenging with females if they've got sports bras and a lot of bras with a lot of padding and support there. Okay, so what we've got to try and do is just move this to the side a little bit when we take the measurement, and then you should be fine. Posterior angle of the scapula, which you can quite clearly see on Michelle. Somebody with a lot more body fat, we might not be able to see it. Okay? So a little trick to find it is to ask them to put their back arm in the small of their back, and you can see with Michelle straight away it's much more prominent. Okay? So with somebody with a lot more body fat, we should be able to make it out now. Okay? So we've got that. That's an option for you if you can't quite find it. Okay? When you do find it, you can get them to relax again. Sorry. I can see it, so I don't need to ask Michelle to do it. So we've got this inferior angle coming around here, and it will look different depending on the person, because not everybody's built 100% the same. So we're looking to get this point here where it just stops, okay, and it changes direction. That's where we're going to be starting to measure from. So we're going to take a diagonal line at 45 degrees towards the spine down, okay, away from that inferior angle at the bottom position. We're going to take 2 to 3 centimeters, okay, with the measuring tape. I'm going to, because Michelle is the tallest person in the world, okay,
It's really short.
Okay, I'm going to choose 2 centimeters, okay. There's no, like, if you're over this, you should go 3 centimeters. I will judge it. Generally, if somebody's around my height, I'll go 3 centimeters. If they're a little bit shorter, I'll go 2 centimeters. Otherwise, we end up too close to the spine. There's certain people that are shorter. Okay? So I'm going to go 2 centimeters down diagonally towards the spine. So you get your measuring tape out. And then you're going to make your mark. Okay, so I know where that is. Okay guys, so the angle that I'm working on is diagonal, so now the pinch that I'm going to take is diagonal as well. So the calipers actually going to sit on that 45 degree when I take that measurement. Slide on facing north, that's it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be looking at. So I'm just going to try and move this, if you don't mind moving that to the side slightly. Okay. Okay, so I'm just moving it to the side so I can create create a better pinch. So from here I'm going to go relatively wide, and I'm going to start to pull on that 45 degree angle. It's compulsory.
Breathe.
So just to recap before I move on to the other one, because it's a little bit more complicated. We're looking for the inferior angle of the scapula, just towards the bottom, okay, on this one. We're then taking a diagonal line 45 degrees towards the spine, 2 to 3 centimeters. Okay? Make the mark, and that's the mark that you're taking the measurement on. So when you go to take the measurement, your thumb and finger goes above the mark, and you take a pinch diagonally, and you then make, or take the pinch and measure. Okay? This can be a slide where people store quite a lot of body fat, especially guys for some reason. Okay, so you might be quite surprised at what readings and then you get measured this one. So we're looking to find the bony bit at the top of your hip, or the anterior superior iliac spine. You should all know that. The ASIS. Okay, that's the short version. ASIS, or the bony bit at the top of your hip. You can usually find it because just above that you've probably got a little bit of body fat, where it's not as lean, and then as you come down, you suddenly hit bone. Just at the top, at the front of your hip, okay? Supra-iliac. All right. So guys, how do we find out where we're going to measure? Well, we need to find the ASIS again, the bony bit at the top of the hip, okay? We can quite pretty much clearly see it, okay? So, 2 centimeters up, 2 centimeters in, okay? Obviously not using my finger as a judge, we use a tape. That was pretty way off. Okay, so guys, this position is quite fun because obviously generally we store body fat more towards the front, sort of the lower belly, so you think, well, why won't we measure that one? But all the data that this test is based upon was on that specific point, so that's why we measure this. Otherwise your end body fat percentage would be much higher than it actually is based on the data that was collated back in the 70s when this was done. This is going to be done diagonally, okay? So from here, I'm going to thumb and finger together. And come in as deep as my thumb and finger. Okay. And relax. So just to recap, guys, find the ASIS. Okay, once once you've got it, 2 centimeters straight up, 2 centimeters in, make your mark, okay? Make sure you do it diagonally, so 45 degrees down towards the hip, okay? When you go to take a pinch, go nice and wide with the thumb and finger, and pull everything together.